Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. My name is Raul Melendez, and thank you for joining today's training. As local government managers, you make decisions every day that directly affect the quality of life within your communities. Before we begin, I would like to mention that at the conclusion of today's training, I will provide an opportunity to address any questions or comments you may have regarding the material presented today. As we move through each topic, I encourage you to think about how these concepts apply to your own organization and the communities you serve. And also keep in mind any questions or observations for our discussion at the end as well. Whether addressing homelessness, behavioral health, food insecurity, or family services, you all work in an environment where public expectations are high, but resources are often limited. The reality is that many of today's community challenges are too complex for any single organization to solve independently. This is where nonprofit organizations become essential partners. They bring a specialized expertise, trusted relationships with the community, innovative approaches, and the flexibility to respond quickly to emerging needs. Rather than operating separately from government, they often work alongside public agencies to expand services and improve outcomes for residents. Today's training is designed to help you better understand the nonprofit sector as a whole and explain why nonprofit government partnership are critical to effective public service. By the end of this presentation, my goal is for you to see nonprofit organizations not simply as outside agencies or contractors, but as a strategic partner that helps local government create stronger communities and greater public value. With that in mind, let's begin by taking a look at what we will accomplish during today's training. My objective is to provide practical knowledge that you can apply as local government managers when working with community partners. First, we will discuss what nonprofit organizations are and why they exist. Although many people interact with nonprofit organizations, there are often misconceptions about their purpose and how they operate. Understanding this foundation is essential before discussing collaboration. Next, we will compare nonprofit organizations with the government agency and private sector organizations to understand how each contributes differently to serving the public. Finally, we will examine why partnership between government and nonprofit organizations produce better outcomes by combining public responsibility with specialized expertise and community relationships. By the conclusion of this training, I hope you will recognize that successful public administration increasingly depends on effective cross-sector collaboration. Now that we have established what we will accomplish during today's training, let's begin with the foundation of our discussion or training material by answering a simple question. What exactly is a nonprofit organization? Many people assume nonprofit operate just like a business or government agencies when in reality they serve a distinct purpose within society. A nonprofit organization exists to advance a mission that benefits the public rather than generate profit for owners or shareholders. Any financial surplus is reinvested into programs and services that support the organization's mission and the community it serves. Their success is measured by community impact rather than financial return. Nonprofit organizations operate in many different areas, including behavioral health, housing assistance, education, food security, youth development, and family services. They often develop specialized expertise and strong relationships with the community they serve, allowing them to identify needs and respond quickly to emerging challenges. For local government managers, this distinction is important because nonprofit organizations frequently fill service gaps that government agencies cannot address alone. Rather than replacing government, they strengthen the overall public service system by expanding capacity and bringing additional resources and innovation to community problems. Now that we have established what nonprofit organizations are and the important role they play within our communities, the next question becomes how they differ from government agencies and private sector organizations. Understanding these distinctions help explain why partnership between these sectors are so valuable. Although government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and private businesses all contribute to society, they are all designed to achieve different objectives. Understanding these differences help explain why collaboration among the sectors is so valuable. For example, government agencies exist to protect and serve the public interest. They provide essential services, operate under laws and regulations, as well as are accountable to elected officials and the communities they represent. Their primary responsibility is serving the public through programs funded largely by tax revenues. Private sector organizations, on the other hand, primarily seek to generate profits through the sale of goods and services. Innovation and economic growth are important contributions of the private sector, but financial performance remains a central measure of success. On the other hand, nonprofit organizations occupy a unique position because they are mission driven rather than profit driven. They rely on grants, donations, contracts, and community support while remaining accountable to governing board and the public they serve. Their flexibility, specialized expertise, and trusted community relations allow them to address needs that might otherwise remain unmet. For local government managers, the most important key takeaways here is that sectors are not competitors. Each contributes different strengths, and when they collaborate effectively, they create more comprehensive and sustainable solutions to complex community problems. When we now discuss how government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and private sector organizations differ and why each contributes unique strengths to serving the public, our next objective is to understand how nonprofit organizations actually function and translate their mission into meaningful community impact. Having a mission alone is not enough. Many organizations have good intentions, but intentions must be transformed into action through leadership, planning, accountability, and measurable results. These elements are what allows nonprofit organizations to create lasting change within the communities they serve. Every successful nonprofit begins with a mission that answers a simple question: why do we exist? Its vision that then describes what the organization hopes to accomplish in the future. Together, these statements provide direction and ensure that organizational decisions remain focused on serving the public rather than generating profit. Another essential component is governance through a board of directors. The board provides strategic oversight, protects the organization's mission, and helps ensure legal and ethical accountability. Unlike private business that primarily answers to owners or shareholders, nonprofit organizations must remain accountable to donors, funding agencies, community stakeholders, and the individuals they serve. Strategic planning is equally important because nonprofit organizations often address significant community challenges while operating with limited resources. Strategic planning helps leaders establish priorities, allocate resources effectively, evaluate outcomes, and sustain programs over time. For local government managers, understanding this organizational structure is valuable because nonprofit organizations make decisions based on a mission achievement and community impact. Their purpose is to create public value by improving the well-being of the populations they serve rather than maximizing financial returns. Now that we have covered or completed another important learning objective by understanding how nonprofit organizations transform their mission into action, our next objective is to examine why partnerships between nonprofit organizations and local governments are essential for improving public service and addressing complex community needs. The importance of these partnerships become clear when we consider the challenges facing our communities today. Issues such as homelessness, behavioral health, food insecurity, domestic violence, and youth services rarely exist in isolation. Instead, they require coordinated responses involving multiple organizations working towards common goal or objectives. Government agencies have the responsibility to protect and serve the public, but no single agency possesses all the expertise, resources, or community relationships necessary to solve every challenge independently. This is where nonprofit organizations become a valuable strategic partner. Due to the fact that nonprofit organizations contribute specialized knowledge, trusted relationships within neighborhoods, volunteers, philanthropic funding, and innovative services models that complement government resources. Rather than duplicating services, successful partnerships coordinate efforts, improve referrals, reduce inefficiencies, and expand access to services for residents. As a result, collaboration creates a stronger public service system than any organization could achieve independently. Ultimately, these partnerships create public value because they combine government authority and accountability with nonprofit innovation and community engagement. When organizations work together towards shared goals, they create healthier, safer, and more resilient communities while improving the overall well-being of society. Now that we have covered another important learning objective by understanding why partnerships between nonprofit organizations and local governments are essential for addressing complex community challenges, our next objective is to examine real-world examples that demonstrates how these partnerships operate in practice and strengthen the communities being served. For example, in an Empire Health Plan works with community organizations to provide community support such as housing transition navigation, housing tenancy and sustaining services, and housing deposits. These services address social determinants of health by helping individuals obtain them and maintain stable housing, which supports better health outcomes and reduce barriers to care. Another example is the Riverside University Health System Behavioral Health, which collaborates with hospitals, schools, law enforcement agencies, and community organizations to provide prevention or preventative programs, outpatient treatment, crisis intervention, and behavioral health services. No single organization could provide these comprehensive network of care independently. Food insecurity offers another illustration for or of successful collaboration. For example, Find Food Bank partners with local government, schools, businesses, faith-based organizations, and volunteers to distribute food and nutrition assistance throughout the region. Similarly, Olive Crest works alongside public agencies to provide child abuse prevention, family preservation, foster care, and adoption services that strengthen families before crisis becomes more severe. Therefore, nonprofit organizations should not be viewed simply as outside vendors or contractors. Instead, they are strategic partners that contribute specialized expertise, trusted community relations, and innovative approaches that strengthen government efforts. When government agencies and nonprofit organizations work together, they create coordinated systems of care that produce better outcomes for the residents we all serve. Now that we have completed another learning objective by examining real world examples that demonstrate how nonprofit organizations and local government agencies collaborate, our next objective is to examine what these partnerships mean for you as local government managers and how you can apply these lessons within your organization to create greater public value. For local government managers, you represent an opportunity to strengthen public service by connecting people, resources, and community expertise to address complex challenges more effectively. Your role extends beyond managing programs and complying with policies. It is essential to build relationships that strengthen the public service system. Effective public administration is increasingly based on collaboration rather than working in isolation. When you understand the nonprofit sector, you are better prepared to identify community resources, establish partnerships, coordinate referrals, and align services towards common objectives. This approach benefits residents because they experience a more coordinated system of care. It also benefits government agencies by improving efficiencies, reducing duplication of services, expanding community capacity, and increasing innovation. Ultimately, successful partnerships create a greater public value because they improve the overall well-being of society while making the best use of available resources. Now that we have completed another learning objective by examining what nonprofit government partnership means for you as local government managers, our next objective is to summarize the key concepts from today's training and reinforce the major lessons that support effective public administration. First, nonprofit organizations exist to serve the public good rather than generate profit for owners or shareholders. Their success is measured by the positive impact they create within the community they serve rather than by financial return. Second, government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and private sectors or organizations each have different missions and responsibilities. Rather than competing with one another, they contribute complementarily. Strengthens that allow communities to address complex challenges more effectively. Third, nonprofit or government partnerships strengthen service delivery by combining government accountability with nonprofit expertise, innovation, flexibility, and trusted community relationships. Working together allows organizations to coordinate resources, reduce duplication of service, and provide more comprehensive support to the residents they serve. Finally, the most important lesson from today's training is that collaboration creates stronger communities. Effective public administration is no longer defined by what one organization can accomplish independently, but by what organizations can accomplish together through shared leadership, shared responsibility, and shared commitment to the public good. As we conclude today's training, I would like to return to the central message that has guided our discussion from the beginning of this training. Nonprofit organizations are not simply outside agencies or service providers. They are strategic partners that help local governments address complex community needs by contributing specialized expertise, innovation, and trusted community relationships. The most important lesson to remember is that effective public administration is no longer defined by what one organization can accomplish independently, but by what organizations can accomplish together through shared leadership, shared responsibility, and shared commitment to serving the public. Thank you for your time. I hope this training has provided you a greater appreciation for the nonprofit sector and the important role that nonprofit government partnership plays in building healthier, safer, and more resilient communities. This concludes today's training. At this time, I would be happy to address any questions or comments you may have regarding today's presentation. Thank you once again for your time and attention, and for your continued commitment to serving our communities.